One day I picked up the phone and it was Tyra Banks' producer on the other line. She said, Tyra loves your cupcakes. I'm like, how does Tyra know about my cupcakes? I'm in a little townhouse in West Hollywood baking with a KitchenAid mixer.
Access more.
Life is like a roller coaster, but when we go through it together, it's better. Welcome to the Candace Cameron Bure Christmas Special Podcast. At Christmas, I love all the jingle bells and fireplaces and hot cocoa and Christmas music, and I love being with my family. And for me, it's actually all about the celebration of the birth of Jesus. And this season is a reminder not to take the gifts of life for granted. So this year, I'm asking people, my guests, to share stories about how giving has changed their lives. Today, I am joined by another Candace with an A, Candace Nelson. And if you have ever bought a cupcake at a bakery anytime in the last 15 years, it's probably because of Candace. She started the cupcake trend when she launched a little company called Sprinkles. And it has grown into something huge and so many stores across the world. They even have cupcake ATMs. And she followed that up with the launch of Pizzana, which is a growing chain of Michelin-awarded pizzerias. It's amazing. It's delicious. They're so yummy. She's a New York Times bestselling author with her Sprinkles cookbook and Sweet Success, a simple recipe for turning your passion into profit. And this year, she is a guest judge on Shark Tank. Wow, I'm out of breath reading your resume. Candace, welcome to the CCB podcast.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. As I said earlier, as we were getting sort of warmed up, your Christmas display is lights out. I'm feeling a little less than merry over here, but I'm bringing the red. I'm bringing the sparkle.
You are.
In the earrings.
It's great. It's great. You look fabulous. And thank you for joining me for a little Christmas special episode. I was thinking back and I was trying to remember because we've kind of known each other socially a little bit. And I was trying to remember who our common thread was that introduced us. Do you remember? Was it Leslie?
It
was Leslie McCaw. Okay. Yes. That's what I thought. Yes. So grateful to her for introducing us. And you were so sweet because when we first chatted, Pizzana is it the first location was Brentwood?
Yes, our first location in 2017, we opened in Brentwood.
Right. And when we had chatted, I said, I've never been there. I haven't been there yet. And you were so sweet and sent me a gift card and you were like, pizza's on me. And I was like, so since then I actually still haven't used the gift card, but I know it's crazy. I haven't, but I went and I was like, I just want to try it and be a real customer and not because I'm getting a gift card. And I've been many, many, many times and it is such delicious food. It is so good. So highly recommend it. And you have a store, a new one opening in Houston.
In Marina. Well, yes, we have a few. So since that, first of all, pay it forward then. Give that gift card to a friend and give that gift to pizza.
Okay.
Thank you for the kind words about Pizzana. We're about to have 5 in the Los Angeles area. We're opening in Marina Del Rey this week. And then early next year, early 2024, we'll be opening in Houston. That will be our second Texas location. So we have one in Dallas and one in Houston. So we're just continuing to expand our concept and bring really quality, delicious pizza to America. And I'm very excited about it.
Amazing. I'm like texting now to my daughter who just moved to Dallas. Pizzana's in Dallas.
Yes.
So I got to tell her. I don't know if she knows yet. Okay.
We would love to have her.
Okay. So this just begs the questions. And I can't wait to talk to you about this because even in your bio, it said that you are a serial entrepreneur. And I relate to that. I feel the same way. So I would love to know all your ways. I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly, because obviously Sprinkles and Pizzana and even all of the shows that you judged, Cake Wars and all the shows on the Food Network, like all of that success didn't just happen overnight. And there's a journey along the way of how you got there. And I know you started it in the .com business and then decided to just put that aside and follow a passion of baking. And can you just bring me through that whole story of how this all started for you?
Well, you said the exact right word, passion, right? Passion, I think, and mission is what drives you. It's what drives me. And at my core, people look at the businesses I've created. They may look at the shows that I've done, like Cupcake Wars and Sugar Rush. But at my core, my mission is about connection and belonging. And that goes back to my very early days. So when I was growing up, I grew up in Southeast Asia a lot of my life. I was actually born in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Wow.
Lived in Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, lived in the upper Midwest. My family was constantly moving. So you can imagine as a little girl, I mean, it was exciting, of course, but it was also really hard. And particularly when I was living in what felt like the end of the world, right? I was living in Medan on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia. I felt so disconnected because these were early analog days, right? I didn't have the internet. I didn't have Netflix. I didn't have email to keep me connected. I had long distance phone calls that weren't even reliable because they would drop. I had pen pals. Can you imagine? I would keep in touch with my friends by writing letters.
I had those too.
So I often felt really homesick and I wanted to feel that connection to home. And so when I would have like a craving for the treats that I miss from home, right? Like chocolate chip cookies or brownies, these just very simple, basic treats that we all take for granted in the US that I couldn't get my hands on in Indonesia, I had to learn to bake them myself. And so that was really, baking for me was a way to connect to my homeland, to the friends I missed, to the culture I missed, and for me to feel connected. And beyond that, it was something that I did with my mom. So we would spend hours in the kitchen cooking from her. I still remember it, her Joy of Cooking cookbook, which was had so many stains on it and it was dog-eared and it had all these notes in the sides. Now we all just look on the internet for our recipes, but I love just like a really well-used cookbook. And that's what we had. And so I had all this time to sort of connect with my mom. I had all of these great treats that connected me to my homeland. And to me, those are sort of my earliest memories of food and how food really brings people together.
Yes.
Across generations, across cultures, across, frankly, ideologies, right?
Yep.
So food for me is this beautiful, like emblem of unity and connection and belonging that is sort of the thread that's seen me through all of these creative endeavors.
Yes. We kind of have the 3 F's in our family that are the foundation. It's faith, family, and food. Those are the 3 things that connect us and bring us together that we long for each and every day with each other.
I love that. I love that you have your family value system so intact to the point where you can just rattle that off. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So tell me, in building Sprinkles, because that is the first major business that you built and sold, correct?
Yes. And it's still what I'm best known for. Yeah. For sure. People used to call me Mrs. Sprinkles, the cupcake lady, all of these names that, by the way, I love. Call me whatever you want. Sprinkly, I love it. It's all happiness to me. But honestly, I never thought I could be an entrepreneur. My dad was a corporate lawyer. He had 2 jobs his whole career. He was an incredibly loyal company employee. And that's why we moved around all the time. Company said, you move? He said, yes, we will. And he would take our entire family across the world and back. And so that's what I was led to believe my future would hold. Be part of a big company, work your way up the corporate ladder. I thought that entrepreneurs had something that I didn't. And it wasn't until, I had my stint in investment banking, and then I went to work for an early internet company. And to your point earlier, the bottom dropped out. It was like the .com boom and then the .com bust. And it was the first time in my life that I hadn't just been following this path. And I looked around and I thought, wait, I was doing everything right. I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. And here I am on the couch without any job prospects. And then 9/11 happened. And in the wake of 9/11, like so many people, I think I just had this personal epiphany that I really wanted to do something more meaningful.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't go to the Middle East and help the CIA, right? Like, what was going to be my piece of this puzzle?
Yeah.
And that's when I reclaimed my love for baking. And I thought, I don't have to keep following this corporate track. Like, who says I have to do that? And so it was the first time in my life that I took that real pivot, that left turn. And I ended up going to baking pastry school instead of business school.
Okay.
Yeah. And I felt so in my flow.
And you just started baking out of your home, and that eventually grew into a sandwich store in LA turned bakery.
Yes.
But
I started out.
Did that even start with you baking for friends and it catching on? Or was the intention, no, I'm going to go to baking school to open my own cupcakery, if that's a word?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a word. These are all words.
Okay.
I think what's important to mention about this story is that I didn't have a master plan. I really was in my mid-20s, completely lost, just putting one foot in front of the other.
I love that.
Just putting one foot in front of the other and seeing how that felt, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to go to pastry school. I have no idea what I'm going to do with that, but does it feel good to me? Does it feel like I'm in alignment with that decision? And it felt good. Like, I loved working with my hands. Everything was so tactile. There's something just so simple about making something beautiful and delicious and handing it to someone and watching them enjoy it. So that felt really deeply good to me.
Yeah.
And so I got through pastry school and thought, well, what now? So I started baking out of my house. First, it was special occasion cakes, which were quite labor intensive and ultimately not scalable. And I still had this business brain that was not going away.
Right.
So I thought, what can I do that is artful, joyful, nostalgic, but is ultimately scalable? And that led me to the cupcake, which at the time we all took for granted. We kind of found them in, plastic clamshells at the supermarket. They were not elegant. They were not sophisticated.
No.
They're just a kid's treat. And so I set about to reinvent the cupcake, started baking out of my house. It just took on a life of its own, started growing organically. One day I picked up the phone, and at this point, my husband and I moved down to LA from San Francisco. And it was Tyra Banks' producer on the other line. She said, Tyra loves your cupcakes. I'm like, how does Tyra know about my cupcakes? I'm in a little townhouse in West Hollywood baking with a KitchenAid mixer.
Wow.
But that was my indication that I was onto something. I was feeling a need that, no one else was in the market. So I started looking for a location.
That is so incredible. I love it. I love it. So tell me what was one of the biggest hurdles or even failures that happened along the way that you can share even as encouragement that you learned from?
Yeah. We failed every day. We failed incessantly. We were one big failure. I think, and I say this to entrepreneurs, I say this to my kids, like, we need to not be so afraid of failure. Failure is, in the failure is the learning, right? In the failures are the growth. And it's all about developing that resilience and that optimism, picking yourself up after the failure, continuing to march on until you get to that success, continuing to march on through the nose until you get to that yes. But I want to point out the importance of mentorship and generosity.
Great.
In my story, because, Charles, my husband, joined me in the business, which was wonderful. He really believed in me. And that was sort of my first step towards belief in myself that I could be an entrepreneur. But we had passion. We had some business experience. We had a big idea to reinvent the cupcake and take it nationwide. But we had no experience. We literally had nothing. So we had a friend of a friend whose mom had a small bakery in Los Angeles. And we thought, well, maybe this is competitive. Maybe she's not going to want to talk to us. But we reached out to her, and she was a beautiful human. And she said, come to my bakery when it's not so busy. Come after hours. Come at like 3:00 when we're just kind of closing down. And we sat in her bakery and she fed us chocolate chip cookies, her delicious chocolate chip cookies and milk. And she taught us all the nuts and bolts of opening this bakery business. She told us how to find employees, how to schedule employees, what bakery equipment to buy, all the just organizational stuff that, you know, we had the dream, but we had no idea how to get started. And she could have easily said, you know what? You're opening a bakery in LA. I have a bakery in LA. That's competition. Good luck to you.
Right.
But instead, she opened up her arms. She opened up her bakery. She fed us cookies and she fed us knowledge.
Yes.
And that helped us get to the point where we knew what to do.
Because that's the point where most people stop. Mm-hmm. They have the great ideas and then they just don't know how to do it. They don't have people around that can share that wisdom with them or help them grow, or may try to seek that wisdom out, but then don't know what if someone's trying to take advantage of them, if they actually have their best interest at heart. And I know that's where a lot of people's dreams end.
That's right.
And so I love that you're sharing about mentorship because I feel the same way. I know that in all the things that I do, I could not do it without the people that I have surrounding me and having mentored me throughout my life and then giving back in that way. So we're going to talk about the give back in a little bit later in the podcast. But I want to know, because you have built all these businesses, you're now a guest judge on Shark Tank. How is that, by the way?
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I mean, going to work and getting to sit next to Mark Cuban. On one side is Mark Cuban. On the other side is Kevin O'Leary. Over there is Lori Grenier. So we have a little girl power in the room. And then Damon John, who's just so cool and fun. I mean, I can't think of a better day, right? So I've had a blast on the show. There's nothing I love more than, you know, working with founders who have a dream. So it's just one after another, marching in with their idea, looking for investment. I mean, it's everything I dream for in a job.
How do you decide whether something has legs or not and is going to fly? What is that process of decision making for you?
So there's three things. There's the product or the idea. Some people are pre-products. It's just an idea. Product, the founder, of course, and the market. So when I look at the product, I think very simple, but do I like this product? Would I use this product? Does it taste good? Obviously, a lot of people are pitching food to me. Does it taste good? Could I be a cheerleader for this product and show up in an authentic way, telling other people to buy it? Because I want to be, you know, a brand ambassador as well as an investor. So that's number one. Number two is the founder. I mean, hopefully they have some sort of domain expertise. They've worked in the industry before, or maybe they've started a company before. But if not, that's okay. At least they have some expertise. At a minimum, they have that passion, that drive, and I can see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
And then the market just has to be a growing market. And it has to be something that doesn't require a lot of education, because it's one thing to have a genius idea, but if you're ahead of your time and the market's sort of too far out and you have to spend all your time saying, this is a great product because, and this is why you need it in your life, because you're going to lose people.
Right.
So it needs to be simple to understand, and people need to see the value to adding it into their lives.
So when you look at people, I want to know the difference of what makes someone succeed and the people who don't, because you touched on that point of the actual person behind it, because there are some amazing ideas out there. Yeah. But what makes the difference in the person that succeeds?
So I'll speak to a founder that I invested in this season. This is already aired. It was the season premiere. So this is all, you know, common knowledge out in the open. I'm not giving anything away, although there are some other shows coming up later in the season. So definitely please continue to tune in. So Kristen Dunning came on the show, beautiful founder, woman of color, and she was glowing from the moment she stepped through those doors, literally glowing. And she went on to share this incredible origin story of how she came to found this business. It turns out that she had struggled with eczema her entire life, and eczema to the point where she was bullied. Like, her skin was scaly, her hair was falling out. I mean, it was really a terrible medical condition. And she dealt with that pain. You know, she started crying on the show. It was still very raw to her. And she came from what is now 5 generations of Black farmers, which is really rare. I didn't know this, but Black farmers represent 1% of the farming population. And she herself had gone into studying agriculture. So as part of her master's research project, she started working in greenhouses and working with plants that had sort of calming and microbial sort of properties that help with sensitive skin. And so she started working with these plants and, drawing from them these calming properties, infusing them into soaps that she was making in her dorm room. So of course, this takes me to my journey, right? Where I'm working out of my home kitchen and selling these beautiful soaps that they're fragrant, they're aromatic, they're beautiful. You can see they're flecked with these beautiful bits of lavender and all of these botanicals that she's growing. And she is essentially sort of, going out to this community of 31 million people who suffer from eczema and saying, here you go. Here's a joyful, calming bathing experience that I never had, because I always had doctors handing me this medicinal bar of soap that was white, and it was just, joyless, and it smelled like medicine, and it made me feel different. Here's a bar of soap that makes you feel like you belong.
Right.
And so I saw that passion in her, and I heard her story, and I just knew, here's a woman. It's not just about the bar of soap, right? It's about her mission, and it's about her personal journey. And I just said, I'm in on this journey with you. And I invested in her, and we've been working together very hands-on every week. Shark Tank aired. She sold out everywhere.
Amazing.
But by the time this podcast airs, we'll be back in stock. So please go check out Gently Soap.
I love that. But what I'm hearing behind that is that, yes, she has an amazing product, and there are lots of people with amazing products out there that they've developed. But because of the passion, the authenticity, and the real life story behind it, that to me is the key of why you invested in her.
That's right.
Along with her product, but the investment is in her. And it's just another reminder that I like to share with people, that the authenticity of who you are, who God made you to be, is all you need.
It's so true. I know society wants us to all fit into a box, but we're all unique. And the moment you realize and step into that power of who you are as a unique human individual is when you become very, very strong and start to live your authentic life, right?
Yeah. You've heard me talk about my new network, Great American Family Channel. It is the place to find your new favorite holiday movies all year around. If you're like me and you love to snuggle up on the couch with a blanket and a warm drink to watch the best new original Christmas movies of the season, then you're going to want to watch Great American Family Channel. How do you find Great American Family Channel? Well, you can text the word Christmas to 877-999-1225 for more details. Great American Family Channel is the fastest growing channel on television, where we value family, faith, and country. You are not going to want to miss everything we're making for you on Great American Family and our streaming platform, Great American PureFlix. Text the word Christmas to 877-999-1225 to find out how to watch. That's Christmas to 877-999-1225. So here's a future forward question. When you look ahead to the next 10 years, what do you think is going to be different about doing business? Or what do you think will be the same?
Well, the buzz these days is all about AI. And I will say, I do really believe that AI is going to transform the way we do business. There are a lot of doomsdayers out there. I am not in that camp. I really am optimistic about how AI is going to kind of play into our lives. I think it's going to amplify our humanness and allow us to sort of offload the busy work, the things that we maybe don't like doing, the things that we shouldn't be spending our precious, valuable time doing, and allow us to lean into what makes us human and unique and more heart-centered, right? I mean, that's my dream for it. So
mine too.
I think AI is going to transform the economy. I'm no AI expert. I am learning every day. I'm trying to get my little noggin around this very hefty concept. But already I've just seen the way that it can make me more productive in my life in such a short amount of time. And we're in early days of AI. So I do think that will be I think, the human piece of this is going to be around forever.
It better never go away, because I watch those. I think of Terminator, the movies way back when, and I'm like, it's going to take over. I have yet to try anything AI, and that's the truth. I just haven't. I haven't, because I'm scared about it.
Okay.
But I know it's the future.
I am at my core an optimist, so I am optimistic about it.
Good.
And I do think there are a lot of very intelligent people who are grappling with these issues right now. Yeah. And so that in and of itself is a good thing. They're not just being irresponsible and saying like, okay, AI, like have at it. They are really trying to get ahead of it. So
well, that's good. I'm glad for the positivity on that. So speaking of positivity, let's talk about Christmas.
Yay.
Let's talk about Christmas, because it's the season I love the most, I think. I mean, I love seasons and fall and all of that, but Christmas time, there's just something so special about it for me. I would love to know what makes Christmas special for you.
Well, I'm sure will come as no surprise that one of the traditions we have in our family is of decorating sugar cookies.
Of course it is.
To baking, Candace.
You could just be in one of the Christmas movies. Would you like to be in a Christmas movie? Because I'd love to have you baking sugar cookies. You got to like boop, boop, like little icing on the nose in the shot.
I'm there.
Okay.
I'll have powdered sugar all over my face. That's very authentic to who I am. Those were early days for me. I'd have a baseball hat on and powdered sugar everywhere. I was a complete mess. But I grew up baking sugar cookies with my mom, decorating sugar cookies. It kind of, for me, represented the start of the holidays. And I'm very fortunate because even though I have two boys who could very easily say, Mom, I'm not going to get in the kitchen with you and bake and decorate sugar cookies, they love it. They lean all the way in to all of these creative projects, particularly the delicious edible ones. And so it's so fun to be in the kitchen with my boys.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah, my boys love cooking as well. And we don't bake as much. Cooking, yes. Yes.
Well, in your house, I would say it's probably hard to avoid because they grew up with a mama who is such a good cook.
Well, my husband, are you talking about me?
Yes. Don't you cook?
I'm a great sous chef. I do cook, but my husband is the one who is like the chef.
Okay.
So when we've shared some of those.
I'm also thinking of your pans. Because I know.
No, I absolutely cook, but but next to my husband, like
it's all relative.
It's all relative. It is. But there one day I would love to get together with you, and I don't need a cook off, but I would love for my husband to make some pizza for you because we do have a pizza oven in our home, but he cooks way more than pizza. He pretty much cooks everything in the pizza oven: fish, chicken, steaks, vegetables, like whatever we're just eating. I just love it. But we are
a good one, Candace.
I really did. We are a food family, let me tell you. And then I'm the sugar addict. So I will have all the cupcakes in all the flavors. And I'm not afraid to eat all of them in one sitting.
We're soul sisters,
just not.
Clearly. It goes beyond the name. It goes beyond the same name too.
Yes.
Our sweet tooth.
Exactly. So tell me about, because on the podcast this season, we are focusing on giving. And I would love to know how giving looks in your family, how giving looks within your businesses, and the importance of the ways in which you give back.
I love this question. And I have to admit, I was thinking a little bit about this question because I knew we were going to talk about it today. And I had such an interesting flashback to my childhood. And I don't mean to take us a little off track at all, but I'm going to dive into this story because I think there's something to it. So when I was in second grade, I was living in a small town in Michigan, Midland, Michigan. My dad worked for Dow Chemical. And I had this best friend. Her name was Guy Lay. Her family had come from Vietnam, and we were inseparable. And I remember one day she gave me her bike. She just up and gave me her bike. And I didn't have a bike at the time. I didn't have a two-wheeler. I think I had like training wheels. And I was like, desperately wanted a new bike. And here was my dear friend handing over one of her most valuable possessions. And I was over the moon. I went running home to my mom and I said, Mom, Guy gave me her bike. I'm so excited. I finally have a bike. And her reaction was really surprising to me. She wasn't that excited. And I said, why? Like, she said, I'm not sure Guy can give you that bike. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, and I had no idea because, you know, when you're a child, you're blind to things, right? She said, well, Guy's family, they're refugees from Vietnam and they've been sponsored by the church. And so I think that the bike belongs to the church. I don't think that she can give you that bike. And it just, it was this awareness that I had never had. And I think what's so beautiful about that story is just the fact that like both of us were completely oblivious to our circumstances. We just admired each other so much as friends. And this was just a simple act of generosity on Guy's behalf. And it was like, you know, we didn't know any of the other circumstances surrounding it. But when I was thinking about giving and generosity, that flashed into my mind. I hadn't thought about it in years. But I love that story. I
love that it made you remember because that really is just sheer love in the sharing. And that is childlike giving that I wish I had as much fearlessness in that today. Because I think as we are all adults and have our bank accounts and have our mortgages to pay and all of these things, you know, I feel like there's always an internal struggle of giving. I very much admire people who give so freely and give beyond their means.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing to witness. And it really attacks my heart in the way that I give. And I feel like at times, like I'm a pretty generous giver. And then when you look at people that are like, I don't even have anything and I'm going to give you more than I have or whatever I have. Oh my God, it's the most humbling thing ever.
It really is. It's quite inspiring. I think one of the ways, just speaking through the lens of a business person, one of the ways that's really wonderful to give is to kind of bake that into the value system of your business when you're setting it up.
Yes.
And so I didn't mention, but my great grandmother, who was my mother's grandmother, I never met her. She passed before I was born, but she was a restaurateur in San Francisco during the Depression years. And I grew up hearing tales of her. And not just her amazing desserts and cooking, but her generosity. She used to feed people out the back door during the Depression years who were down on their luck and couldn't afford food. You know, she was making a living in the front, but she was feeding people for free in the back. And I was always so inspired by that. So, you know, when we were first sort of writing down our value system and sort of what Sprinkles was all about, I wrote down that if this crazy idea was ever successful and our community supported us, I would give back to our community in a myriad of ways, right? Whether that was through our charitable cupcake initiative, where we would partner with celebrities and athletes and co-develop a cupcake and give 100% of the proceeds of that cupcake to the charity of their choice. Or, you know, giving those cupcakes every day at the end of the day. Instead of selling them for half price, we'd give them to food banks and homeless shelters. And so the spirit of my great grandmother, I felt like really lived on in how I went about my business and Sprinkles. And I've seen that a lot with some of my peers who are founders now, is just like from the get-go, setting up your business in a way where it is just inherent in your business, right? This giving channel. And so that's been a really fun way to go about giving. But there's so many different ways to give, right? You can give your resources in terms of financial, you can give your time, and you can give your talents.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm really focused on right now is sort of time and talent in terms of mentoring this next generation of mostly female entrepreneurs that I'm working with.
I love that. And I love that you said time and talent, because not everyone who gives within their business has an actual tangible product to be able to give, like food or a paper good or something like that. So time and talent goes a long way. I know that's something, as I've entered this stage of life, that I'm looking at in a whole lot more, because I have 3 adult children now that are in their early 20s. And now I'm starting to have their friends say, hey, would you mentor me as I'm in college? Can I come under you? Can I shadow you? And wow, what a privilege that is to me.
What a gift to them. What a dream come true to them. That's amazing that you're doing that, Candace.
Oh, well, I've just been asked. This is just a new season. I'm starting, but I really do love to be able to do that. And when you think about it, that is absolutely a way of giving back and pouring into the next generation. So I love that you're doing it.
That's so special. And to your point earlier about us all being unique individuals, I mean, money is money, and money is important. And a lot of people need financial resources, obviously. But what makes your gift special or my gift special are our experiences and our wisdom at this point, right? Because our cash is the same as somebody else's. And so it really is such a gift. And I really believe that time is the most precious resource that we have. So to give of your time, particularly as a mom, even you have adult children, by the way, they still need you.
Oh, yes, they do.
Right? They still very much need you. I used to think, when I had infants, they needed me. When now I have teenagers, they need me even more. And I'm sure when they're in their 20s, they're probably going to need me even more.
Oh, they do. My text chain has been flowing. I mean, since we've been on this, the texts are just going nonstop. So we're going to wrap this up, and I take a listener question at the end of every podcast episode, and I've just selected this question thinking you might have a great answer for it. And today's listener question is from Jeannie, and she asks, are there any ways to find joy during Christmas when your family is missing loved ones?
That's a beautiful question.
It is.
And yes, absolutely. We have to keep our loved ones' memories alive.
Exactly.
I mean, I keep a black and white picture of my great grandmother's restaurant in my vanity, like in my little, area where I put my makeup on, my intimate area. And I look at that and I'm inspired every day. But sadly, I had a dear friend who passed away much, much too soon from pancreatic cancer a couple of years ago. And I think the best way that I know of to keep her memory alive is just to continue to share with the other people in her life stories of what made her her and made her special. In fact, one of the members of our friend group even had T-shirts made that embroidered with the embroidery, "Hey, sweetie," because she'd always pick up the phone and say, "Hey, sweetie." And she was always, "Hey, sweetie." And when I think about that, she's with me, right?
Yeah.
Like she's just there. And I think about the things, the silly conversations we had, the funny, preferences that your loved one had that made them, again, uniquely them. And just surround yourself with others or photos. It can be a private moment and remember and think and keep that memory alive.
Yes, I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think of my grandparents who have passed at this point, but even putting out the types of candies and making the dishes that they used to make, that keeps their memory alive, and that brings joy to my heart. So they're never forgotten. They're never forgotten. So, Jeannie, we hope that answer gives you some hope and love this Christmas season. Candace, thank you so much. I'm just putting it out there. If you have an entrepreneur class that students can sit in on, I'll be a student. I want to sign up.
You're coming to speak. You are not going to be a student. Are you kidding me? I should be so lucky to have you come speak. Thank you, though. That's really kind.
No, I love absolutely everything you do. You're such a joy. And I love how positive and fun and uplifting you are. I think this might just be in the name. Like you said, it's just the Candace positivity. Maybe
it's the Candace vibe. It's the Candace vibe. And I feel the same way about you. Thank you for all the joy and the hope and the love and the faith that you spread in the world, because the world really, really needs it. And sometimes it's hard to find. And you are just a shining light. And I love you, and thank you, and Merry Christmas.
I love you too. Merry Christmas. We'll have some cupcakes and pizza together very soon.
Let's do it.
Okay. The 4 weeks before Christmas are a time called Advent. And Advent is about anticipation, waiting, which we're all familiar with. My friend Bianca and I have a PDF guide for you at Candace.com called What to Do in the Waiting. I learn so much about you from listener questions, and we do read through all the questions. And while we can't answer every single one, they do help us decide what to talk about on upcoming seasons. So please keep your questions coming. Until next time, be grateful all day, every day. I love having these conversations, and I'm glad you get to watch them. Would you give me a thumbs up and tell me in the comments about your favorite Christmas tradition? Candy Rock Entertainment, all rights reserved.